Welcome back, guys. Been a little bit of a hiatus since I've last made a video. It's been quite the journey, and I just kind of wanted to make a video. One, to get back into it, and two, to kind of talk to you about what I've been thinking and what has been happening ever since I created my first video about 2 years ago. Okay, so 2 years ago I had made a video talking about buying, what kind of products to buy and like what's worth it. And I have 3 products that, next to me that I kind of just want to talk about, and especially like explain what they've done and what they can do in the future. So at the time when I made my first video, Evolving Skies, I don't remember the booster box price, to be honest, but I know that the ETB was $80 and the pack was around $8. And at the time, most packs were around 3 to 4, so it was like double. And at the time, like $8 for a pack was expensive. $8 for an ETB was expensive. Most ETBs on the secondary market were about $30 to $35. So it felt very expensive, and a lot of people didn't want to buy it because it was like, who's gonna buy an $80 ETB? And at the time, it was early 2024. No one really felt like it was worth it, right? It was just kind of expensive, but it was a good set, Evolving Skies. And so that's where I kind of want to start the video, is with Evolving Skies. So this is a booster box. Again, at the time, I did not buy the booster box at that time. I actually bought it a couple of shows later, and because I really felt like I wanted a booster box, because like it was one of my favorite sets. So when I went to the show, it was $700. And I've never spent $700 on any product, let alone one little box. So when I bought this at $700, I was like really worried about it being fake, and like I didn't really want to pull the trigger, but I wanted a booster box. So I found a clean one. At least I feel like it's clean. I don't know how, like, I mean, it's pretty good. You know, nothing crazy. It has a little wrap on the back, but when I purchased this, I didn't feel good. I felt like I overpaid. I felt like it just wasn't worth my money. But fast forward to today, it's actually been a year since it really like had its growth, but it's now around $2,500. And like obviously in 2 years, that's an extreme amount of wealth gain, or not wealth gain, but just evaluation gone crazy, right? From $700 to $2,500 is a pretty crazy event. And like I don't want to sell it because it's just something that like I own and I want to own. And in the future, there will be a price where I'm like, well, I don't value it at that price. But that just kind of shows that, like, even if you buy something expensive today, right? Like, let's say you're buying Destin Rivals at $500, and there actually is a Destin Rivals reprint. So it might go down. I think Destin Rivals will probably be around $400 after all the reprints get done. And, like, you might be thinking, like, dude, there's no way I want to pay $400 for a really expensive set that just came out. It came out about a year ago. And to that, all I would say is think of Evolving Skies, because Evolving Skies went from $1 to $2 to $400 pretty instantly, around 1.5 years, and people were like waiting for these reprints, and they reprinted the ETBs, but they never reprinted the booster boxes after that third wave, and so it just climbed from $400 to $700 to $1,000 to $1,500 to now $2,500, and it's kind of it's kind of so expensive, so that like most people can't buy it anymore, and most people can't afford it, and or want to spend $2,500 on a box. So it kind of like prices a lot of people out. And so it's like kind of like, it's like an object that most people will never have. And because of that, it has exclusivity and kind of sets itself apart, right? And I think a lot of people, like, they think like, dang, like all these prices are so inflated, and they are today. But I kind of want to like draw you into like really what's going on right now. Right now, a lot of prices are super inflated, and actually it's during the summer, so a lot of prices are kind of drawing back. That's really important because it allows you to buy things that are cheaper. And so like for the second object, all right, so this is the newest set that just came out, right? Pitch Black, obviously got this off the Pullman Center, so I paid $162 plus tax, like $170. And right now it's like $186 online. And is it a good set? I think it's an okay set. I think the SIRs are pretty good, but kind of weak, except for the I don't even know, I forgot the Darkrai. So yeah, so there's a gold Darkrai and there's an SI Darkrai, and there's a couple other cards that are like okay, but the set seems a little weak. and it's showing in the market. The market obviously went from like $300 all the way down to like 186 right now. And I want you to think about like really what you're doing, right? If you're investing and you're buying these products, you feel like it's expensive. And to that, I agree with you, right? Like obviously at one point I was buying booster boxes for $90 to $100, and now I'm spending $162 feeling good about it. But you understand that like in the time when you're buying these products, you might feel like you're overpaying. When I spent $700 for that Evolving Skies booster box, I felt like I was overpaying, and now I'm not even like regretting it. So this box that you can buy at $190 after tax, $190, $200 in 2 or 3 years, which is like not even that much time for like an investment to double. This could be $350, $400. And when it's that price in the future, you're not going to worry if you spent $170 or $200 on this box, because it's going to be double. And these are like super easy picks because it's so cheap. It's so close to MSRP that you're basically paying MSRP for a box, especially in today's like time. And sure, there may, right? There may be a future where this box is cheaper than 160. It could be 140, it could be 120. But we're not there, and you don't know, because you could be like the person who waits for Evolving Skies to drop from $400 to $200 again for reprints. But it never happens. And so you're sitting there with all this cash ready to buy, and they never print it, and they never do what you want them to do, and you just miss out. And I'm not saying that like you have to buy everything and FOMO into everything, because that's not a good idea either. But like there's a lot of things that are very normally priced right now that a lot of people are just viewing as expensive. They're like, oh, these scalpers are buying them, like wait until the scalpers leave. But like a lot of these things won't ever drop below a certain price. Destined Rivals will never be MSRP booster box. It's just not going to happen, just because of the lack of supply and the total size of the demand. The demand is too high, because anytime it pushes down too far down, there's going to be people with a lot of money who'll just buy it and push it right back up to its price where it is right now. So even if Destined Rivals falls to around $400, which I think it will, to be honest, because the reprints do seem like a decent amount of size, they will get bought up pretty fast by a bunch of investors and a bunch of people who are willing to just make a quick buck. People will buy that from the distributors for about $350 and sell for $400, and you won't see any price below $400, only because that's just kind of where they're priced at distribution. And I'm just going to show you my final product. It not necessarily like the set, but the ETB, right? This ETB I think is like $130 online, and to that we go back to 2024, right? When I looked at the Evolving Skies ETB at $80. Everything else was $30 to $40. So the $80 ETB at the time felt very expensive. And I just proves to show that like literally right now we're looking at Surging Spark ETB right about $130. Most ETBs are anywhere from $70 to $130 right now. Obviously the new sets are around $70, and then older sets that really aren't being printed right now, like Surging Sparks, are around like $100 to $130. These are all these early Scarlet and Violet sets. And that just shows you that regular sets, right, like Surging Sparks, not nothing crazy, it's just a main set in Scarlet and Violet, is $130 in ETB. And that's a regular set. It's not a specialty set, it's not a super hype set, it's just a good set, right? And I want to use that price and an Evolving Size price around $600 for an ETB to kind of show you these new sets. Perfect Order, Chaos Rising, Pitch Black. These sets are all coming out, and their ETBs are $70. I know that they're not the best sets, but $70 is a good price point, because eventually they will be $130. It's Surging Sparks, which, by the way, there was a time when they were $70. They were sitting on TCG and they were sitting on Sam's Club and Costco all day, every day for like $50 to $60. And the reason why is because they were overprinted and they were everywhere. But people didn't want to buy them because they weren't a good value for your dollar. They wanted better sets. But even the sets that you don't feel like are like super like competitive, like Destined Rivals or like City Heroes, all these sets will rise. And I mean, obviously the 30th anniversary is coming out, Delta Reign's coming out, and all these sets are going to be really like crucial to keep the demand up. But even without demand, right, you want to buy these boxes as they come out and kind of dollar cost average. If you can buy the new set Chaos Rising for $70 in ETB, buy the ETB, because ultimately they will be 130, they will be 150, they will be $200. And sure, like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to bring up the fact that like Sun and Moon boxes, the ETBs are like $1,000, but we're not going to bring that up. I'm showing you a box that isn't even 2 years old. This is a 1.5-year-old box, and it's 130, right? Obviously, I bought most of mine for about $50 to $60 from, you know, vending machines or Targets or whatever, and now they're double. And I'm not saying that like you should go out and buy a Searching Sparks box right now, because I do think that the ETBs at 130 is a little pricey, but even then, I mean, even if you buy it, I think in 2 or 3 years you won't be regretting it. But I'm really wanting you to think about the new sets, right? The new $70 ETBs. That's where you need to buy. That's where you need to like start your collection, right? Buy these booster boxes for $160, $170, $200, because in this market right now, there's a lot of things that are inflated. I think a lot of things will come down. I think a lot of things are overvalued. I think especially PC ETBs. I mean, these things I think are going to be reprinted to hell. I mean, look at the 30th anniversary. Rumor is that they printed 4 million, or at least had 4 million checkouts of the ETB. So if there's 4 million PC ETBs, they're not going to be as rare as people think they are, and they still will hold a premium because obviously they're exclusive to the Pokemon Center. But this like 4, 5, 6x that's like happening over and over again on these PCs, the Pokemon Center ETBs, like they're not going to hold that in the short term. I mean, in the long term, sure, they can still like have that exclusivity. But like really just focus on finding a good value for your buck, right? If you can find packs for $5, if you can find ETBs for $70, and if you can find booster boxes for under $200, these are all good buys, even if the set's bad. Because ultimately, throughout time, they will appreciate due to the deflationary of a sealed product, right? As time goes on, people rip open, and after like around the 2-year mark, they don't print them anymore. Because of that, you need to understand that buying price is very important. Sure, right? If you buy it $70 or $80, like the difference isn't really important as far as like your price entry, but at $70 is the perfect price to buy ETBs, because they can get to $100, $200, $300, $400, and they're able to grow your collection to a different level, right? That's all I kind of wanted to say. I mean, just welcome back again, and I do plan on making more videos. If you have any questions or comments that you'd like to make, I do read those. I do create videos off of them, so feel free to comment, and then obviously I'll be back with more information later.